it's time to clean this used aquarium. I've done this a couple of times now already, cleaning pre-owned tanks, so I'm pretty sure I can give you some very useful pointers that will help you save time and effort. The thing with pre-owned tanks is that they come in various different states. So some are like new and pristine and are filled with water. Others, like this one, haven't seen water in quite some time. And the way you go about cleaning them differs a little bit. So in this particular tank, I don't like the substrate, which means I have to remove all the gravel that's currently in here. And if you are going to remove gravel, make sure to drain the water. If there's still water in them, drain the water to as low as possible. Try and remove all the water. After that, you can use a cup or, I just use a plastic cup, to be honest, to scoop out all the substrate, the remaining gravel. Now, the last few cups of gravel will be the most difficult because they're going to be in narrow edges and corners of the tank. So what I do then is add some water again, so I can scoop up the gravel or swirl up the gravel with my hands and use a fishing net to remove the final bits of gravel. Let's get straight into this, and as we go along I will give you more tips and tricks so you can clean your pre-owned tank with as little effort as possible. What I use to remove substrate from a used tank is a bucket to store the substrate in and a plastic cup. That's it. This tank came with a heater. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to use this because it's pretty dirty, but we'll see after I clean it up thoroughly. And then the way to do it is just to start. Now, something that you can only do if your substrate that you're removing is still fully dry is use a brush. If it's mixed with water, then what you've got to do is work a little bit harder and try and get everything onto one side. I'm going to push everything to the left for now. If it's wet, it's more work. That's the conclusion, basically. So, as you can see, I removed all the substrate from this aquarium. It was pretty easy because it's dry. If it's wet, it's way more difficult. The next step is to leak test your tank. Make sure you leak test your tank. Don't do it in your living room or wherever you're going to put your tank. Instead, do this in a bathroom or in a garage. Because if there are leaks, there's going to be water damage and you don't want that in your living room. So for me, I'm going to carry this tank to my very small bathroom and I'm going to fill it with water. Let's do it. Alright, so this is the point where I'm going to use the first piece of equipment, a flexible hose or tube. This is a very important piece of kit that will cost you not a lot of money, but you're going to need it for maintenance. You're going to need it to fill your tank, to drain your tank. So make sure to get yourself a piece of flexible tubing. Just do it. Let's fill an aquarium. While the aquarium is filling up, and which you can probably hear through the microphone, so I'm sorry for that. I want to tell you a couple of things. First is that I'm actually pretty nervous, and this isn't my first time, so I can understand that you are feeling nervous right now. The other thing that I want to tell you is what to look for during this time. Because first, you have to understand that this amount of water is pretty heavy. It's very heavy, which means that the things you put them on, in my case the crates, need to be sturdy. Now what you're looking for here are leaks along the sides of the aquarium, but moreover I'm just seeing whether everything's going correctly. Alright, the aquarium is filled up, and so far it's looking good. I was pretty nervous, like I just told you, but it's looking decent. It's not entirely filled to the brim, but that's not a problem for testing for leaks. I left the aquarium for 24 hours, came back the next day, and everything looked great. So I was ready to drain the aquarium back down. I took some footage but forgot to turn on the autofocus, which is why I'm giving you an update like this. I used the smaller hose instead of the large tube that I used to fill the aquarium, because I knew from experience that the shower drain couldn't handle the flow from the large diameter flexible tube, which is something you also need to keep in the back of your head. Don't make the same mistake I did once, because it caused a major flood in my bathroom. I carried the aquarium back to right here, which is where we continue with cleaning the inside. Let's do it. Alright, so now we got this aquarium all back here. I drained it fully, we put it back into place, and now it's time to do some more cleaning. And if this is your first time cleaning an aquarium, I want to give you loads of pointers, do's and don'ts, of stuff you're going to look out for. And the first thing I want to show you is what you're actually going to be dealing with. For example, this white calcium residue. These lines, all this white stuff, is going to be very common in any aquarium. And I can easily explain you how it builds up. The aquarium is going to be full filled, and is going to be prone to evaporation. So there's constantly water evaporating from your aquarium. And what's not evaporating is all the dissolved minerals in there. You probably recognize it from a shower or anywhere in your bathroom. You're also going to be dealing with this. And it's also in your aquarium. And that's fine, it's not a big problem. Other things, the most important thing when cleaning a used tank or any aquarium is to never use cleaning products. You don't want to use any soap or anything like it, because you're not going to be able to remove it from the tank afterwards. So if you need some help with cleaning and just plain water and a sponge is not enough, I recommend diluted vinegar. Diluted vinegar is a very good option to clean an aquarium. And if there's going to be any super nasty hardy parts in this aquarium, I will also be using this. Another tip, you're going to use buckets. When you're keeping fish, you're going to use loads of buckets. And chances are you already have buckets in your house. You already own some buckets. My tip to you is buy a new bucket and only use it for aquariums. For the same reason, other buckets in your house are probably used for soap or with soap, and you don't want to mix that in your aquarium setup. So get yourself one or two aquarium dedicated buckets and only use them for aquariums. Let's get to it. The reason why I've got this light here in my face is partly so I can see what I'm doing, and I can also show you with the other camera what I'm looking at. I'm going to clean the inside first. I'm going to use plain water and a sponge, try and remove as much debris from the glass as possible, and I'm sure it will look a lot better after this. Then afterwards I'm going to clean the outside of the tank, because that's also necessary, and I'm super sure the tank will look a whole lot better. So let's dive straight in. Alright, I got myself a bucket of just water and one of these regular kitchen sponges. Make sure it's new, it's not used, for the same soap reasons as discussed before. And right now I'm just going to go at it, try and clean the tank as good as I can with just a sponge and water. You'll find that the dirtiest places are going to be on the bottom of the aquarium where the substrate used to be. You'll find a lot of algae residue and leftovers. That's where the most dirt is going to be. On the glass itself, just use the sponge and water. Put a layer of water in your tank already. Just use a sponge and water to rinse off any dirt, dust, whatever. But don't worry too much, because once you fill the tank up with water, it's going to look a lot cleaner anyway, trust me. And that's it for cleaning this aquarium. It's basically ready to use. We removed the substrate, performed the leak test, very important, don't skip this please. Thoroughly cleaned the inside of the tank, and I know I said that I was also going to clean the outside of the aquarium, but I'm going to postpone that to later. That's because we're going to be doing a lot with the tank. We're going to be adding plants and substrate and water, so we're bound to spill on the outside of the tank, which will cause those white stains we just talked about. Therefore, I'm just going to do that once at the end. And for now, this tank is done, ready for the next step. And in the next lessons actually, we're going to be talking about the equipment that's required to run an aquarium. So I'll see you there.